Myra Ellen Amos, better known as Tori Amos, is a singular voice in American popular music. While she has been nominated for such major accolades as Grammys and MTV Video Music Awards, she never received significant mainstream radio play in America. Still, her prodigious musical skills and captivating poetry-rich lyrics confronting topics like religion, misogyny, and sexual assault made her an alt-pop icon who enjoyed considerable success in the 1990s and beyond. Now, more than 30 years into her musical career, the Great Pop Culture Debate wants to look back and attempt to name the best Tori Amos song. I am also abnormally attracted to sin, and I like it. I'm your host, Eric Resniak. Please welcome my panelists for this episode. First, we got the Antichrist on the podcast yelling at me again. It's the Patreon sponsor for this episode, Bob Erlenbach.
I can't believe we're doing this. This is not real. This is not really happening.
You bet your life it is. You bet your life it is. You bet your life. It's going to be a long episode, folks.
This is going to be We're in for the long haul, everyone.
We sure are. Next, he's been silent all these years. It's Jim Zadzik.
Yeah, but I'll break the silence to sit down with this bunch of podcasters.
Well, thank you. Fair warning, I cannot promise that my dog won't bite even if you do sit still. And finally, we found a girl who thinks really deep thoughts. What's so amazing about really deep thoughts, Kate Reculia?
Boy, you best pray that I bleed real soon. How's that thought for you? It's a little deeper than normal.
Yeah. And I thought we were having a pretty good year. And up in the producer booth, we have Derek Makita, who is wiping his nose and getting his new boots on. If you're curious about how we ended up with our bracket, become a Patreon supporter of our little show, or listen to the 3-minute preview available wherever you listen to podcasts. And don't forget, you can head to this episode on greatpopculturedebate.com to find the listener bracket, as well as all 16 nominated songs, so you can play along with us at home. And with that out of the way, let's straddle the piano bench and get into these debates. First up, the panel is speaking up and has unanimously decided to push forward one seed Silent All These Years off of 1992's seminal Little Earthquakes. That meant that Life's Not Fair for 4-seed Taxi Ride of 2002's Scarlet's Walk. Does anyone want to give a tip to Taxi Ride before it pulls away from our bracket? Anyone?
I love this song. So as we discussed in the warm up, a lot of this bracket is very heavily sort of like her 90s and very early aughts output. This was the last Tori album that I bought like immediately when it came out. It's a great kind of like pop radio song that I'm guessing it was on the radio, but I didn't really hear too much of it. It's a great song. I love it.
All right. So we are going to move Silent All These Years into round 2. Next, the majority of the panel is hoping that 3-seed God from 1994's Under the Pink actually will come through this time. But Kate is bundling up in favor of 2-seed Winter from Little Earthquakes. Kate, have zero chill as you defend Winter.
So I literally was talking to a colleague today and she's like, oh, about this pod. And she's like, what's your favorite Tori Amos song? And I told her and I was like, what's yours? And she's like, Winter. So as we also discussed in the warm up, I don't know if I have a clear rubric. I can just tell you which Tori Amos songs are a part of my DNA. Because of how old I was when I heard them, because of how I heard them, because of what they said to me then and what they continue to say to me now. I love this song. It's absolutely beautiful. According to her 1998 VH1 Storytellers episode, this song came from a conversation she had with her father, and it is a song about a father-daughter relationship. Conversation she had with her dad about how her first sort of attempt at making an album completely flopped because she was trying to be someone she isn't. And he said to her, and he'd never said this before, this is a quote. There's going to be so many Tori quotes in this episode for me because she's just very like articulate talking about her work. Tori Ellen, when are you going to accept you're good enough for you? She has many wonderful songs about faith, belief, religion, the hypocrisies and limits of religion, Icicle. And this is one of the most beautiful songs she ever wrote about believing in the power of her authentic voice. So that is why I chose Winter.
This is going to be a hard episode because, as Kate alluded to, the rubric here is all over the place. And this is the most Gen Z thing I'm ever going to say. I'm about the vibes with this one.
Vibes.
And I got to tell you, Kate, you that was a really good argument. Bob, has she swayed you or are you going to stick with God?
God, sometimes I just do come through. I'll stick with God.
Jim, is it going to be God or is it going to be Winter?
When I went back to listen to it, I wrote down I could easily be swayed, and I actually wrote that for everyone I'm about.
Yep.
I will
Yep.
argue. So
There are no bad answers.
You've told me this can't be done, but I wish this was one where we could hear the song and then talk about it, because that would probably make a totally different bracket. But I think I'll stick with God just because it was the first to chart the Billboard Hot 100. It's a little bit of a more well known, I guess. Maybe I'm sticking with that for now.
To quote Violet Chachki, come through, God. And so God will move into round 2. Up next, half of our panel is addicted to One Seed Spark off of 1998's From the Choir Girl Hotel, while the other half feels the distance getting close with 4-Seed China off of Little Earthquakes. Jim, please do really mean it as you defend Spark. Kate, Chase votes for China all the way to New York. Kate, please go first.
I love this song. I mean, again, so many of my choices. Little Earthquakes is my favorite Tori album. It was not the first one that I listened to or heard, but it is the one that is the color of my soul. And I have such a vivid memory of sophomore year, spring break, driving through the Carolinas, just like kind of near the ocean as like the sun was setting, listening to the song. Like, it's just so beautiful. And also there's an excellent Great Wall pun. How can I, when you build a great wall around you, which is also the china that decorates our table. It's a beautiful ballad about distance growing in a relationship. It's the third single from Little Earthquakes. It was the first song written for Little Earthquakes, actually. And in 2012, she told Rolling Stone, the song, quote, probably came after a big bout of listening to Barbra Streisand because, if anyone can break your heart, she could. Can you imagine Barbra Streisand singing this song?
I'm cavelling.
Like,
talk
it's
amongst yourselves.
Just like, oh my God.
I can only get so hard, Kate.
I mean, we're only in the second. We're only in the second. Like,
God.
It's
no, we already moved God through. Okay.
Yeah, it's a great song. I love it. I mean, Spark's also a great song. Spark was the first like Tori Amos song I heard on the radio. So I'm swayable.
Excellent. Jim, talk to us about Spark.
Well, I'll echo what you said, Eric, a little bit ago, that it's all vibes for me too. Like, and I honestly, famously, like back when I was listening to these songs, I wasn't even that much of a lyric person. I've kind of grown to be more of that. So it's more of the sound, the production, all of that. And Spark's an interesting one where the lyrics, the content is about grief and survival. It's about it's very she's revealing a lot, as she does in most songs, right? But the production's interesting too. It's a really dark in production style, and then the verses in the verse section, and then the chorus kind of comes in with this beauty. It's kind of this pairing between the two. It's also multi-layered with instruments and dynamic range and arrangement. It's a really complex song in the sense of how it's produced, which adds to that emotional side of what the lyrics have to be about.
Yeah, we talked about this in the warm-up. I should put a trigger warning at the beginning. We are going to talk about some tough stuff here because Tori Amos is about autobiographical, really difficult concepts.
Yep.
In that way, it's like our grunge song episode. But it's also usually wrapped in an incredibly beautiful song.
Yes.
That's something she does better than almost anybody. Bob, is it going to be Spark or China for you?
So I love China. However, I am switching my vote because I initially voted for China because I didn't believe that anyone else would vote for it. I wanted to obviously have to be able to speak about it. And so Kate did so well.
Thank you.
But when let me talk about my rubric, which we said is difficult. And I know that I'm just supposed to be voting, but it's important, I think, for this.
It's your episode. You do what you want to do.
It's true, right? For me, when I think about the best Tori Amos songs, for me, they need to feature piano, which certainly China does as well. Yep. That has to be part of it. I love the songs that have that like musical momentum, that drive, that moving towards something that really keeps you engaged and like makes it so you can't like look away or you can't stop listening. It just continues to build and build and build. Obviously, meaningful lyrics are going to be important, not just revealing something about herself, but also kind of confronting you and revealing something about yourself in her lyrics as well. And then the unexpected and distressed vocal affectations that she loves to do. You heard it in my opening line, right? Her voice becomes an instrument within the music, right? So those are really my rubric pieces. And I think Spark fits that more. I don't think China has that momentum, that kind of drive to keep you listening. It's a beautiful song and I will listen to all of it. but I'm actually switching over to Spark. And that center and that halfway through that song, Spark, with that piano interlude is a fucking banger. To do rock with the piano as she does is amazing. So, Spark.
I'm also giving it a Spark. I love China. It's such a beautiful song. It's so beautiful.
Beautiful.
God, but Spark to me is pretty incomprehensible. So Spark will move into round 2. Next, in a battle of 2 Little Earthquakes tracks, 3/4 of the panel has got wood for 2-seed Crucify, while Kate is standing firm in her support of the album's title track, a 3-seed. Kate, here we go again. Rip us into pieces as you defend Little Earthquakes.
For some bizarre reason, I didn't prepare an argument for this one. But this is my favorite Tori Amos song. It is... How do you sum up the whole of the album, Little Earthquakes? You create this little symphony. And Bob, I loved your rubric. It's so smart. And I'm trying to sort of think of where this song kind of fits in all of it. It has that incredible like third sort of movement of the song where she brings in the chorus and it's give me life, give me pain, give me myself again, which is, I think, a mission statement for all of her music. Forever.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
And I think like coming out as the last song to sum up her first sort of solo album, that refrain that kind of repeats over and over again. She has the that thing at the end, the incredible like vocal performance. It has an incredible emotional like it swells and it goes quiet, and here all these like little earthquakes. Her music is so personal but feels so universal because to each person, each life is an epic. In the way she talks about her own life, you can see how your life, as the way she's talking about her own, has the same amount of pathos and drama and resilience and pain. And it's a great song. I love it. Little Earthquakes.
You know, Kate, it had never occurred to me to just said that. Like, there is something really magical about Tori, and I do think there is like an element of magic to it in that she is talking about incredibly personal, very specific things, but there is a universality.
Yep.
Like, her music is so personal, but you can identify with all of it, even if you haven't been through those exact experiences. Other artists do that, but boy, she just, it's so accessible to your emotions. And it's so interesting.
By being hyper specific in her details, I think that there's something to that, right? It's like the hyper specificity ends up feeling universal because you know it's her, but she's like, the emotion is so relatable. Oh God, I love it.
It's so good. Jim, has she swayed you, or are you sticking with Crucify?
No, I think I'm going to stay with Crucify, but like I said, we could just say yes to any song,
right?
Really.
Yep. Seriously, that's going to be the refrain this whole goddamn episode. Bob, is it going to be Crucify or is it going to be Little Earthquakes?
Yeah, I'm going to stick with Crucify. I have some stuff to say about it, which I can save unless, obviously, Eric, unless you're going to switch over, but then I would just break it with my tie anyway.
Yep.
I'm going to hold that for Crucify, but Little Earthquakes is an important song in recent years as well. And reading some online literature as well as through some of her books, her memoirs, Little Earthquake was really important to her fans during the Trump administration, the first one, and I assume the second. And it got a lot of play and a lot of attention. Anyway, so it's a really important song, and Kate did a great job talking about it, but
Thank
Crucify.
You.
I would argue that both of these songs are actually so relevant to the times that we are living in.
Word.
So, yeah. Seriously. Okay. Well, we will be moving Crucify into round 2. Next is another 3/4 split, with most of the panel feeling 1-seed Cornflake Girl off of Under the Pink was a good solution. But Kate is nostalgic for 4-seed Jackie's Strength off of Choir Girl Hotel. Kate, show us what black magic can do as you try to cast a spell for Jackie.
Oh God, I love this song. If Little Earthquakes is my favorite Tori Amos song, this one might honestly be my second favorite. So this was the first Tori album that I bought. I bought it the first weekend I was in college in the year of our Lord, 1998. I got from the Choir Girl Hotel, which is hard to say.
It's hard to say.
Hotel.
Yes, thank you.
I have a hard time saying it. The vowels do not feel.
I've been stumbling it all night. Yeah.
In my Central New York mouth. So I bought this, and I bought the Cars, Just What I Needed, double disc, which is great. Anyway, it's again this really beautiful melody, beautiful production, piano forward, incredibly poetic mix of memoir she's talking about literally her mother telling her that when because I think Tori would have been like a year or a few months old when JFK was assassinated, her mother telling her that she lay her infant daughter down on the ground because she couldn't stand up anymore and prayed for Jackie Kennedy to have the strength to lead the nation. And Tori is taking that story from her childhood and applying it to this feeling of growing up and now coming to her own marriage and feeling kind of ambivalent about the state sanctioning her union and how she feels about it. Incredible details. Stickers licked on lunch boxes, worshiping David Cassidy. Beanie, her childhood friend, who the song Raspberry Swirl is about, and we will get to that later, bringing pot to the sleepover. All of that leading up to her marriage. And I loved this quote that I got. This is Tori Amos talking about this song. I really knew I was going to need some kind of strength about going through with her marriage or going through with the wedding, because I made up of two personalities. There's one side of me that could very easily have ended up at the 7-Eleven sitting outside drinking a Slurpee in my wedding dress and just missing the whole thing. And then there's the other one that did make it to the church. So the song is about the one that drank the Slurpee. She's still out there somewhere. I just love it. I love it so much. The way that she talks about her specific experience as a woman in this world and other women who she has looked at, her mother, Jackie. Also, can we just talk about how a Bouvier till her wedding day is an incredible line?
So good.
So good. Anyway, Jackie's Strength. It's a great song.
Excellent. Bob, did she sway or are you sticking with Cornflake Girl?
I'm going to stick with Cornflake Girl.
Also a banger.
Also a banger.
All bangers.
Jim? All bangers.
Is it going to be Jackie's Strength or Cornflake Girl for you?
It's Cornflake Girl.
Yeah, it's just, this is kind of like if you ask people a Tori Amos song, Cornflake Girl's going to be in top 3.
It's going to be top 3. And look, I mean, did I identify still as a Cornflake Girl? Yeah, of course. Yeah. But you know what it is? I think I am really drawn, and the Tori songs that speak to me most are the really ballady, kind of slower ones. I like
they
the
aren't
Tori
the gateway
songs.
drug songs.
Yes.
No.
Yeah.
True.
Yep.
As we know from Kate's appearance in our season 1 episode, Best Cereal, Breakfast Cereal, she also has a taste for old lady cereals. So I feel like you are a Cornflake Girl, whether you want to admit it or not.
Love that brand.
Love that brand. So high in fiber. All right, we will be moving Cornflake Girl into round 2. I know this will shock you, but Kate is again on the outs as the rest of the panel wants to keep 2-seed Pretty Good Year from Under the Pink, turning the calendar page into round 2, while Kate is catching 3-seed Tear in Your Hand off of Little Hearthquakes.
Little Hearthquakes.
Let me try that.
I don't have a ton of argument for this one. I just love this. I love this. I had a revelation my sophomore year of college listening to this song, because it's about feeling melancholy and nostalgic for a world, for a relationship, for something that has ended, right? And I was thinking about my freshman year being over and being like, well, who am I now? Where am I now? It is the song that has an oblique reference to her friendship with Neil Gaiman, which she is.
I was going to ask if that's who the Neil was.
Yes, that's who Neil is, hanging out with the Dream King. Yeah. Which there was I think I shared it with you, Bob. She talked about that in an interview with The Guardian, and because she and Neil Gaiman were really did a lot of work together, actually for Rain and victims of sexual assault, and was really devastated by all the stuff that has come out. So appropriately. Yeah. But yeah, so that is the Neil that's in this song. But the bridge and the song is so good. In the end, maybe it's time to wave goodbye now. I love it. The feelings. You know who this Tori is? It's in Love Actually when what's her name?
Keira Knightley?
No, not Keira Knightley. Oh God, no.
Emma Thompson?
Emma Thompson is telling Alan Rickman, dirtbag, wonderful human, but in that movie, dirtbag, that Joni Mitchell is who taught his cold English wife how to feel. I'm not saying I'm cold, but Tori, there's so much emotional architecture in this music. That's just so good.
And I do think there is a pipeline, the Joni Mitchell to Tori Amos.
My God,
and
yes.
there's probably some people in between there, but I think there's a very clear Kate Bush would also be in that pipeline.
That sort of poetic.
Oh,
it's so good.
to Fiona Apple after our Tori here. Yes. So thank you. Bob, did she sway you, or are you sticking with Pretty Good Year?
Pretty Good Year. I'm going to stick with that for now.
Pretty Good Year. Song about tires. Yeah. Jim, is it going to be Pretty Good Year, or is it going to be Tear?
Pretty Good Year.
I love how this is basically just a way for us to talk about literally all of these songs.
It is.
Yeah, that was
basically. That is the whole gist. Yeah. So we will be moving Pretty Good Year into the next round. It's another 3/4 split, but this time in favor of 1 seed Raspberry Swirl from Choir Girl Hotel. But it's Jim on the outside. He's not of our tribe, as he feels pulled by the gravity of 4 seed Hey Jupiter off of Boys for Pele. Jim, give us the red eye as you push for Jupiter.
I'll give you the break, Kate, for this turn.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm not going to win, but I just wanted, I find it an interesting song, and I like them, again, like them both, so it was hard to pick. And this one, I think what's maybe notable and interesting to talk about is that there are 2 versions. There's the version on Boys for Pele that's, beautiful, slow piano version. It's emotional. It's great. There's also another version that's called the Dakota version that takes a sample from an older song and loops it with a kind of a drum beat sound, and it's a little more of like a club dance kind of version of it. And I think it's kind of interesting because it's just a nice way to compare. Again, I'm drawn into the production side of things, so it's like I don't think it was necessarily like a throwaway. It was like, hey, we could do it this way, we could do it that way, and I found that really interesting because both versions are really great. I think I actually like the Dakota version a lot too. It's maybe my favorite version, even though it's hard to compare. Like we've been saying, it's hard to compare any of them. But they're great for different reasons. It's just interesting to see how you might approach a song, and those 2 being out there from the artist are great. I think it's a great study.
And I think your point about, like, it could be great if you have it one way or another way. It's just like your oatmeal. Do you want your oatmeal plain? It's great. Or do you want it with raspberry swirl? It's even better. So that's why I'm going with raspberry swirl. Kate, is it going to be raspberry swirl, or is it going to be Hey Jupiter?
It's going to be raspberry swirl. I will say, is this the only song from Boys for Pele that's on the Sweet 16?
I think it is.
Yeah.
I think it is.
I, as such a tiny child, I thought that the title was a reference to Pele, the soccer player.
As did I at the first. Yes,
I
absolutely.
was like, what does that mean? I don't understand.
Right?
Yeah.
Big soccer fans.
Yep.
Bob, is it going to be raspberry swirl, or is it going to be Hey Jupiter?
Raspberry swirl. Let's go.
Let's go. Okay, so we're going to move Raspberry Swirl into round 2. Finally, in round 1, the panel is split between 2 seed Precious Things off of Little Earthquakes and 3 seed A Sorta Fairytale off of Scarlet's Walk. Bob, see if you can give Fairytale its Happily Ever After and move it into round 2. I will dig in my 9-inch nails, and you can let me bleed for Precious Things. Bob, please go first.
So yeah, Sorta Fairytale is an interesting surprise for me in doing my research. It's widely regarded as one of her very best songs. In 2014, the music blog Stereogum.
Stereogum.
Oh, that makes more sense.
Excuse me. Ranked the song number 5 on their list of the top 10 greatest Tori Amos songs. The Guardian ranked it at one point as 6 on their list of the 20 best Tori Amos songs. For me, where I think it was the surprise when I did the prep was that I don't think I gave this one enough attention when it came out. Really, the stuff after 2000, I don't give as much attention to, and that's on me. I will admit that is a problem. But I think I forgot it, but I loved rediscovering it for this. I find the song very quiet, very sweet. I think it speaks to the meaning of the people who come and go in your life and how they affect you, how they impact you, how they imprint on you, for better or for worse. It's relatable content. I think we talked about that earlier with regards to this. It's just everything she does is so relatable. I also think that there's some amount of, for me is I can't push every Little Earthquake song forward in the bracket.
Why not?
I want to give something else a shot, something different beyond that 90s era. I think Precious Things is so incredible. But it brings that urgency and momentum that I spoke about that I think maybe this one doesn't have as much. However, there are so many other great songs from Little Earthquakes that I think kind of beat out Precious Things that I thought, why not give the flowers to this song, which is more recent than the rest. And I don't want to forget or lose the idea that Tori did make great music after 2000 and that she's incredible. So
Yep. That's a great point. So it's funny you use the term urgent because that was exactly the term I used to describe Precious Things in my notes. Apparently, she came up with a riff for this song while she was ill in the Rocky Mountains on a cross-country trip after the original version of Little Earthquakes got rejected and was kind of like trying to find her mojo back. And like you can feel it in this song. You can feel that urgency. You can feel that like starkness. It's dark. There's a dark energy to the song, but not like a maliciousness. It's just like is like foreboding and like something is coming down upon you. And I feel the Rocky Mountains when I listen to it. I won't attempt to tell you that what Amos was trying to say in this song because I try to put any words in Tori Amos's mouth, but the lyrics directly reference boys being terrible, but our inability to still say no to them. And again, Tori, queen of relatable content. You know what I have to say? Like, seriously. But how thoroughly 90s is this track? The bridge explicitly references Nine Inch Nails. And like Nine Inch Nails, it still sounds epic 30 plus years after it's released. So, Kate, is it going to be Precious Things or is it going to be Sorta Fairytale?
I do love a Sorta Fairytale. And I think Scarlet's Walk has some really lovely, lovely songs in it. Lydia's dancing on the table. Yeah, it's so good. But Precious Things, she's mad. And she is full of like a righteous fire.
I'm fine with it. Precious Things.
it's like angry piano. Like, so I'm with Precious Things.
Jim, is it going to be Precious Things or a Sorta Fairytale?
I feel like you're all making me feel really basic because I want to vote for one of her most commercially successful singles, Sorta Fairytale.
Yeah. Well, there's nothing wrong with that. So, Bob, are you switching to Precious Things or?
I'll switch my vote to Precious Things.
You don't have to.
I know.
Okay, all right.
He's
switching his vote, so that's 3 for Precious Things, and it will continue into round 2. And that's the end of round 1. We're going to take a quick break to attend the annual convergence of the American Doll Posse, a.k.a. the Gathering of the Huggalos. We'll be right back.
My fellow pop culture enthusiasts, the fate of the cinematic universe, the very fabric of fandom itself hangs in the balance. Are you tired of your voice going unheard? Do you have strong opinions of the merits of the prequel trilogy? Do you believe that pineapple belongs on pizza? Well, I do. It's time to make your voice count. Visit greatpopculturedebate.com and cast your vote in our crucial pop culture polls. Your opinion matters. Your vote can shape the future of fandom. Don't let others decide for you. Go to greatpopculturedebate.com and make your voice heard. Together, we can build a better pop culture world.
And we are back for round 2 of our best Tori Amos song debate. Before we get into the Elite 8, I'd like my panelists to share their social media, what else they're working on, and the first time they recall being introduced to Tori Amos and her work. Bob Erlenbach, the Patreon sponsor for this episode. First, why Tori Amos? Why was this something that you wanted to talk about?
We were talking about something on an episode once that we just started talking about her and it just reminded me of like, wow, I haven't revisited Tori Amos in such a long time. And she was so important to me in the 90s, the late 90s, the early 2000s. And when I did discover her, I know she was around earlier in the 90s. But just her music is just so good. And when I started listening to it again and revisiting, I'm just like, we got to do this. We got to talk about this. I was really glad that we did because now I'm listening to the music again and discovering her newer stuff, which I haven't paid as close attention to. You want to know my socials?
I would love for you to know your socials. Yes.
So
please.
My socials are at DisnerdBob on things, anything. Just look for me there. You'll probably find me. Blue Sky is where I mostly am. How was I introduced to Tori? Did you ask that question too?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Like an essay response.
Well, Jim and I had a friend in college named Stacy.
It's always a girl named Stacy.
It's a girl named Stacy, and she introduced me to it. Crucify was the first song that I heard. But it was she also took me to a Tori Amos concert, which was Alanis and Tori together. And it was a dual concert. It wasn't Tori opening for Alanis or vice versa.
Sure.
It was It was that concert. And I distinctly remember saying, I love China. I hope she sings China. I can't wait for her to sing China. And Stacey's like, she's never going to sing China. And guess what? She sang China. So fuck you.
Well, guess what, Stacey? I did. And I blew him.
I love Stacey very much.
That's a little joke between Bob and I. Great. Thank you very much. Jim Zadzik, what are your socials? What do you got going on? And how did you get introduced to Tori Amos?
I've got not much outside of work going on, and I kind of don't spend any time on social media anymore.
Seriously.
And Bob's in my dorm room way back when had a lot of Tori Amos playing, I guess. I don't know. No, locally, again, Rochester, New York has WBR, one of the greatest radio stations ever, and I think that's my introduction for sure to Tori Amos, having great music selection, and then through college, through diving in. Definitely, it's like you said at the top about it being art pop. I guess I didn't think about it that way, but I do tend to be drawn to something that's, dynamic in production, in lyrics, and, Kate, you've been pointing out all the great lyrics and like very specific details. Like, I think all that probably goes together. I also, my mom played piano in the, when I was a kid, and I feel like I've kind of reflected like, oh, that and Ben Folds, that must be why I like those two, because it kind of reminds me of that childhood kind of memory too. I think all that kind of mushes together. But that's, it's again, it's all vibes for me.
Jim, now you got me wanting to do a Ben Folds episode, yo. I haven't thought about Ben Folds in 2 decades. Kate, I was obsessed. As Kate would obviously be obsessed. Exactly.
Kate, great song.
Great song.
The 90s is popular with the youths right now.
The youths.
So we should do it.
We'll show you the way.
That's right. We invented being disaffected and bored, you posers. Kate, what are you working on? Where can people find you? And how'd you get introduced to Tori Amos?
So nominally, I am on Instagram at Gomez Rack. I haven't been writing recently because I just got married like a couple weeks ago. And it was really great. But I am in the middle of a book. And I'm going to get back to it. And how I got introduced to Tori Amos, I knew about her. Eric and Bob remind me there was someone who wrote, so we all wrote together for HJ, which now I'm like, hee hee.
I know.
But that was the name of the like insert, everything sounds filthy now, in the Thursday night paper in the town where we grew up. And it was written by local high school students. And there was someone who went to, when she came to the Carrier Dome for Under the Pink on that tour, and someone went to see her and wrote this like rhapsodic review of going to see Tori Amos, huge Tori Amos fan. So I remember reading that and being like, who is this?
Yeah.
But I really didn't have, because she wasn't on like VH1.
No.
She wasn't on like regular radio play. And I wasn't super, I mean, I was like plugged into like the Canadian part of Lilith Fair, like Sarah McLachlan, like that crossed my transom, who I also adored. But it wasn't until they started playing songs Spark on the radio that I heard Spark 98.7, 98 and was like, what is this?
Yeah.
And then I went to college and I was in art school, and it just was like Tori Amos was everywhere. And hugely influential, just like musical part of my development.
Yeah, you go to art school, and in Tori Amos 101 is part of the required.
Oh yeah, like it's just like it's
class.
required.
Yeah,
you like come in and they're like, here's your charcoal, here's your like little Mars plastic eraser, and here are all of your Tori Amos CDs because it is the year of our Lord 1999.
That's exactly right. Yep. Excellent. So I'll answer that question first. So I remember I was hanging out with people who I graduated with after high school, and they were playing Tori Amos in the car, and I was like, this is very adult. This is not a popular song. This is not something that I could listen to on 93Q or Y94 in Syracuse, New York. And I was like, this is really good. And like it was a bunch of women.
Was it Jessie McKenney?
Jessie McKenney, the Keeps. And like these are all really cool girls who like were very interesting people. And I was like, oh my God, I am now an adult. I have become a man by listening to Tori Amos, which that's the first time that sentence has ever been uttered in.
But it should be uttered more frequently.
It should. So that's how I got into Tori Amos. And in terms of where you can find us, the best place to follow us is Blue Sky at at gpcd.bsky.social or at Great Pop Culture Debate on Instagram or TikTok. You should also make sure to subscribe to our page on YouTube, where we're now posting original video content. And guess what? We're now on Twitch at GPCD Twitch. How about that? But what you really need to do is to sign up for our weekly newsletter. It's new every Tuesday at noon, and it tells you about everything new in pop culture that week. Sign up by finding the link on this episode at greatpopculturedebate.com or via our link tree on any of our social media accounts. Now, let's cover ourselves in gold dust and get into round two. First up, the panel has again decided to move forward one seed silent all these years, which means 3 seed God is dead, at least in our bracket. Next, it's another unanimous decision by the panel in a little earthquake showdown, moving 2 seed Crucify into the final 4, meaning that we are extinguishing 1 seed Spark in our bracket. But I do want to at least talk about Crucify. We haven't yet, so I'll explain why my heart is never sick of being in chains. With Crucify, I consider this to be one of the more direct songs in Tori's catalog. Like, you don't need to hunt for meanings in the lyrics. It's not subtext, it's just text. It's right there.
Yep.
Tori was enmeshed in organized religion basically her whole life. Her father was a preacher. She grew up in the church. This song is talking about the pressures and the restrictions of organized religion, and it resonated back in the 90s, but man, does that lyric hold even more weight now in a society where hypocritical fundamentalists are wielding faith as a weapon to strip away rights and turn social progress back in this country by about 60 years. I think this is not only one of Tori's most accessible songs, but I think it's honestly way more potent now than it even was in the 90s. We can talk about it more, but it is moving into the final 4. Do we want to hold our notes until then?
Sounds good.
All right.
Sounds great.
Nailed it.
I am realizing. I see what you did
I had
there.
to do it. I had to do it.
I briefly mentioned it, but Icicle's not on here.
Icicle is not on here.
Yeah.
It's not. Hard to sustain.
Anyway.
We are again split, this time between 2 songs from Under the Pink. 2 of us are serial defenders of 1 seed Cornflake Girl, while the other 2 of us found 2 seed Pretty Good Year formative. Jim, hold on to nothing as fast as you can as you push for Pretty Good Year. Bob, is it time for you to defend Cornflake Girl? You bet your life it is. You bet your life it is. Jim, please go first.
It's good.
It's specifically
pretty good.
It's pretty good.
It's pretty good.
It's pretty good. It's a pretty good song. It's tough because they're both against each other, and it's hard to pick one over the other. It's bittersweet, and it has disappointment, like a lot of her great songs.
Yeah.
And it would, again, for me, it's always the production, and it's that slow kind of beauty of that song with the piano that really pulls out a lot for me. It is really interesting to go through her catalog, because I know, again, Bob said this earlier too, but there are some songs that have like a heavy production or they're epic sounding, and then there's some that are like light and just piano and the kind of the breath sounds, and the microphone's like close. It's all great. That's where it's hard for me to decide on any of these in the final 4. I'm glad that these ones are here, I guess. But again, I think the whole bracket's great. And kind of maybe that's the better argument, is that if you haven't heard Tori Amos before, or you've only heard 1 or 2 songs, you should probably just dive into a full album or 2.
Totally.
And again, so like this album is one that I just listened through a lot. So it's kind of like all of the songs on this album are great.
Yeah. Bob, do you want to talk about Cornflake Girl?
Yeah, start with Little Earthquakes. Everybody.
It's your first album, yep.
As your first album. Cornflake Girl, talk about a radio edit. Talk about a song that you can listen to on the radio, you will hear on the radio. It is a banger.
Yep.
It has got this incredibly catchy opening with regards to the music, you know how songs today kind of just like start in the middle of the song. That's how they like craft songs. That's almost this too. Like it just is jumping right into the music, and it just captures you immediately with those sounds. It has incredible lyrics and an incredibly great hook that you just kind of hum afterwards. You bet your life it is. You bet your life. It's just so good. It's impossible to not sing along to. It is so high energy, so much fun to listen to. And the video, we didn't really talk about or haven't spoken about Tori as a video artist yet. When you go back to, like, this isn't Little Earthquakes, but when you go back to Little Earthquakes, there's a video for almost everything, and they're almost companion pieces.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's the same here too with this song. And it is so meaningful to the song and the lyrics of the song as well. So it's both a great song and a great video. And really great that is one that you would have seen on MTV or VH1 because it's so well produced and so well made. But it's just we're going to use the word. It's the juggernaut, one of the juggernauts on this list. So
yes,
that's where I am.
Kate, is it Cornflake Girl or is it Pretty Good Year?
Pretty Good Year is an absolutely beautiful song. But it's got to be Cornflake Girl.
Okay, so I believe that's 3 for Cornflake Girl. Jimmy, sticking with Pretty Good Year. It sounded like you were very on the fence here.
Well, I remember, I'm thinking about it. I remember now that I feel like it's the emotion. The emotion of that song is what hit me. My vote doesn't matter, so whatever. I voted for both. Both of them. I'm moving them forward.
It doesn't matter, Raisin Boy, because Cornflake Girl is going into the next round. Finally, in round 2, the bulk of the panel is polling for 1-seed Raspberry Swirl from Choir Girl Hotel, but things are getting desperate for Kate as she refuses to let 2-seed Precious Things wash away. Kate, keep Precious Things secret and keep it safe. When it comes to Raspberry Swirl, let's go. Bob, why don't you go first?
So I love this song so much. This is a song that marks an evolution and a change in the sound from her previous albums. This is a dance track. This is a banger. This is something that hits inside really hard. But it keeps everything true about who she is as well, right? From the lyrics, the piano, the sound, right? The song slaps on a level of which I cannot describe. I'm going to try. The percussive dance beats with that stripped down guitar, the piano lines that are all swirled together in a little bit of a swirl. It makes the song impossible not to dance to, not to tap your toes to. There is this urgency. Again, this word comes up and it's part of my rubric. There's this urgency in this song that, I often equate with her songs, right? You can't not listen to this. It just commands you to listen. She describes that this song is about multiple things happening in her life at this time and throughout her life, a relationship, a friendship with a woman who she describes as the love of her life. I think Kate mentioned her name earlier in the call. It talks about a love triangle. She's talking about a love triangle that she's in with multiple men. It talks about just being desired by multiple people. I love this. There is some horniness going on here in this song, which you hear in the lyrics and you hear in those distressed and pleading vocals that she has within this. I love this. It's a musical orgasm. It's just good. She owns her sexuality as a woman, which, she does this in so many of her songs, owning herself, her sexuality, herself as a woman. And that's really against the grain back then for a woman to do that, right? Mm-hmm. So there's just so much going on here that I love that's all swirled together in this song. But that's where I'll leave it. Kate, go.
Well, before she does, I want to say one thing. You said that she was owning her sexuality. What she did that a lot of the artists at that time that didn't, it was not for the male gaze. She was owning her sexuality for women. It was never for men. I don't think you can say that Tori Amos ever tried to portray herself as like the sex pot, but she was still undeniably a sex object. Just in a very different way.
Yep.
Anyway, Kate, go.
So both of these songs are wildly feminist songs about sexual agency. And I'm gonna change my vote because Raspberry Swirl is an incredible song that like low key is about like if your man's not going down on you, I can take care of that. Like I can do that. But also Precious Things, like, so you can make me come, that doesn't make you Jesus. Like, your ability to give me pleasure doesn't necessarily mean you deserve my love. And as messages, like, that for, like, young people of all genders and sexualities to hear at any time in history, wow. They're just so good. Precious Things is a great song, too. I am going to switch over to Raspberry Swirl because it's incredible.
Jim, is it going to be Precious Things or Raspberry Swirl?
Raspberry Swirl.
Raspberry Swirl. I'm making it unanimous. So with that, we have our final 4. We're going to take a quick break to get back our spark. We'll be right back. Hey, pop culture squirrel friends. Are you gagging for all the tea, but missed the latest episode of your favorite show? Don't fret, darlings, because we've got you covered. Head on over to greatpopculturedebate.com for all the juicy recaps, Hanny. We're talking blow-by-blow breakdowns, shade trees full of opinions, and enough pop culture realness to fill a library. So if you want to stay in the loop, and honey, you do, then sashay over to greatpopculturedebate.com/recaps. Because if you can't love yourself, how in the hell you gonna love somebody else's recap? Can I get an amen? And we are back with the final four of our best Tori Amos song debate. At this point in the show, I take a step back and I see if it should have got the way I expected it to. Patreon supporter Bob, sponsor of this episode, are you happy with this final four?
Oh gosh, where are we?
We are Silent All These Years, 1 seed, versus Crucify, a 2 seed.
Yep.
Cornflake Girl, a 1 seed, versus Raspberry Swirl, a 1 seed.
I think they're my right for me.
And they sound just delicious. I have to say that.
Absolutely
so,
delicious.
Yeah. Now I want a moon
Cornflake.
pie or
We have the
something.
food on the right.
Yep.
We have cornflakes and the raspberries.
Yep.
And then we have little
religious
earthquakes on the
trauma
left.
on the left. So,
Yeah.
I love it. I'm going to start Silent All These Years versus Crucify. I would like to begin with Bob Erlenbach. Where are you?
So I'm going to go with Silent All These Years, and I know we haven't really talked much about that yet, but I do just want to throw in a few additional things about why Crucify is so good and why it's gone so far. There's not much more to add other than, I think you mentioned earlier, right, that it's just text. There's no subtext, but it's got all of the components in my rubric of a Tori Amos song, and it's got meaningful lyrics, but it is approachable to a broad audience, which can bring people into her, right? It is not above their heads, but it is both symbolic, but also simple in its symbolism.
Yep.
So I think that's really important for that song. And it's such a banger. It's such a good radio track to listen to. But I'll let some other folks talk about Silent All These Years, which we haven't talked about and why it's here. But I just, there's nothing more Tori Amos to me than Silent All These Years with the piano, the urgency, the lyrics. It fits everything in my rubric, which is why I'm pushing that forward. But I don't want to go on too long, so I'll let other folks talk about Silent.
Jim, is it going to be Silent All These Years or Crucify?
For me, it's Silent All These Years. And as I've already said, it could be any of them, but I think that's one that is always, like, when I think of Tori Amos, that's one that's always with me as again, that emotion that, celebrating her voice, everyone's voice, that I think that it really resonates.
Kate, is it going to be Silent All These Years or Crucify?
It is going to be Silent All These Years. She wrote this song like an ageless, elf wrote this song. Like it's like beyond like the maturity in the song is just like so striking to me. And I mean, she was in her early 20s when she wrote this song. Yeah. And it has the piano, it has the urgency, it has the pathos, it has the specificity in the lyrics, but it is also very universal. Like it's an incredible song, and it is, I think, absolutely one of her calling cards. When people talk about and think about Tori Amos, they think of her voice and what she has to say, right? And again, in the same way that I said, give me life, give me pain, give me myself again, like, if she could, maybe, I don't want to put words in her mouth again, but like, I think so much of her life's work has been about getting people to speak, right? And to own their voices and their stories, and, by her example. And I think as a sort of mission statement for her, it's pretty unimpeachable.
You mentioned the maturity in this song, which we haven't really talked about. Like, she was a child musical prodigy.
Yes.
And like, they were enrolling her in like conservatory when she was like 7 or something.
I think
and
it's
she ended,
Peabody, if I'm not mistaken, the Peabody Music Conservatory at 5 years old.
Yeah.
Wow.
And she ended up leaving it because she was very frustrated by it and never could
She was
learn how to...
confined by it. Sorry to keep interrupting you.
No, you're good, please.
She was shackled by it because she was such a prodigy and so creative. Sorry, go.
No, you're good. She never learned how to read music, which is why she was in a band called Why Can't Tori Read? And like, she might have been an early 20-something writing this song, or a mid 20-something, but she's always been very much an old soul. Even her songs that are talking about being a teenager are very much like a 40-something-year-old reflecting back on the like silliness of youth. But she's like right there in terms of like her actual age. She's very special in that regard. I don't think we have a lot of creatives in music that are that type of prodigy and come with that type of unique kind of background. And I think that's something we should celebrate. With that being said, I am going to move forward Silent All These Years, and I love Crucify. But I think it is the right choice here. Cornflake Girl versus Raspberry Swirl. Kate, where are you coming on this one?
I think I got to give it to Raspberry Swirl. Bob, your excitement carried me.
Jim, is it going to be Cornflake Girl or Raspberry Swirl?
Well, so my initial thought is Raspberry Swirl, but then I started thinking about like, actually, this is kind of hard because Raspberry Swirl was a change in her sound.
Yeah.
And if I were to pick out of those two, what one am I going to go listen to? It's Raspberry Swirl. But does Cornflake Girl like represent who people imagine Tori Amos to be? You know, like if I'm picking the final two that are going to go up at the end. That all being said, I'm probably still going to just stick with, I'm going to pick Raspberry Swirl.
Tangy. Bob, is it going to be Cornflake Girl or Raspberry Swirl?
I think I want to pick Raspberry Swirl, but let's see how this lands and see how I feel after it lands.
Okay. I'll say this. So Cornflake Girl to me feels like a song from the early to mid 90s. Everything about that song feels very much of its time. That was a point when we had this like, everything was sun bleached, the aesthetic, right? Everything, there was a kind of like weird kind of Western rock influence and stuff with the whistle, and the piano even has kind of like a Western rock element to it.
That's
kind of
true.
achy, breaky, hardish. Raspberry Swirl could be released right now and would still sound appropriate. Like it's not as exclusively 2020s, but it could be released right now and it wouldn't sound old fashioned. And this track is like 20 plus years old. I think there's something very cool about that. And it is different for her, but it's still very much of her. And that's why I'm giving it to Raspberry Swirl. Bob, does that?
I'm good with it. Let's do it. Did we all vote for Raspberry Swirl?
I think we all voted for Raspberry Swirl. Sorry, Cornflake Girl. And so we have a final two of Silent All These Years versus Raspberry Swirl. 2-1 seeds. I would like to start in the middle with Jim. Where are you going?
Well, I think I want to double down on that argument of what people might imagine her to be and what, you know, the wide tapestry that is her sound. Because even like this revisit had me listening to some of her more recent albums, and she's still experimenting. Like there's one with a full orchestra. There's like, you know, like it's like, how can we like use this sound, this piano sound in different ways, or maybe even break free from that and try different things. And I think that, you know, it kind of starts with Raspberry Swirl in some ways. So I think I'm voting on that.
Kate, is it going to be Silent All These Years or Raspberry Swirl?
I said sometimes I hear my voice and it's been here silent all these years. Like this song, I've heard this song probably hundreds of times, and it still gives me like full body chills. Again, as kind of a mission statement, as something that she at the beginning, I think, was like, well, this is what I'm here to do. And this is what she has continued to do and is still doing.
So Silent All These Years is your vote.
Correct. Yes.
Bob or Lebec, is it going to be Silent All These Years or Raspberry Swirl?
I love both of these songs. Both of these songs fit my rubric. One of them I do believe fits it a little bit more from the lyrical, meaningful lyrics piece to it. There are meaningful lyrics in Raspberry Swirl, but there aren't as many of them. And it is not as much of a storytelling experience as Silent All These Years.
Yes.
We haven't used that term, right? And I think that's where I am with that. And Silent All These Years takes us back to the beginning. And primacy argument is not what I'm making by saying that. But I think it's important to identify that this is something that put her on the map as an artist to pay attention to, as an artist who could make mainstream music on a piano outside of the Piano Men. It's just so haunting and beautiful and urgent. And I can't separate, I talked about videos already, but I can't separate this one from the video, which is just equally as beautiful. And there's the one line where she says, well, let's see what you think of me now, but baby, don't look up. And in the video, it's her with a box around her face, just looking straight at the camera. And then she says, let's see what you think of me now, but baby, don't look up. And then she looks up and it's like, she did it. She looked up. And it's just like, it's just so smart. I just love it. Silent All These Years.
I will also give it to Silent All These Years. I think great top two, but Silent All These Years, Little Earthquakes, it was aptly named because like shockwaves for her entire career, right? Like, and there are some times where you put out a really amazing debut album and then it's like And that was not true with her. She kept making really good albums consistently. She's still making really interesting music. But I don't think there's anything wrong with going back to the very beginning in this particular bracket. So Silent All These Years for me, and there you have it. Our pick for the best Tori Amos song is Silent All These Years. Do you agree? Do you think that maybe we actually ought to crucify ourselves? Tell us how you really feel by leaving your comment on this episode at greatpopculturedebate.com or find us on Blue Sky or Instagram. While you're there, make sure you subscribe and follow the podcast so you can hear about what new debates are coming soon, vote in open polls, and even decide which topics we tackle next. I want to say thank you to my panel. Thank you especially to Bob for sponsoring this topic. Thank you to everybody else. You are precious things. And thank you for listening. If you loved what you heard, please consider supporting us on Patreon, where you can get even more exclusive content. You get episodes a whole day early. We hope you have a good one. And remember, everyone is entitled to their wrong opinion. Now, did we ever figure out why Tori can't read?